Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett. You can kind of see her a little bit back there, straight behind my head. Here you go, baby. I'm gonna put it over here. See if she walks into camera to go get her nut. Yep, there she goes. So it is 8:51. I have to start working in 9 minutes, so I only have a couple minutes to knock out some code, try to make a little bit of progress. Let me get this thing started. npm start. We are back into a coding mode. So basically I'm working on a ThreeJS Angular application, and we're basically deep in trying to deep delete some very complex data structures that are inside of memory. And basically I thought I'd done a good job deleting. I didn't really understand memory leaks and stuff in JavaScript as well as I do now. But now that I'm starting to understand them, I'm starting to see that I need to take very, very special efforts to delete the, actually remove things so that they're gone. So we apparently have sitting in this mesh service right now. I believe I got meshes deleting yesterday. So let's see. We're still building. Yeah, see, we delete this from the dictionary, which does not, all that does is delete the reference that was sitting here. But there's also another reference, and that was in the recyclable sequence services. And I believe those are the only two references to the actual objects. Now, I don't know, there may be one in the animation area, but I don't think so. I hope not, because that means that those things don't get deleted, those objects. But basically, the whole idea is like if I go over here and I go to data entities, and I'm presented with a table, and then inside this table, I hit add biz, and I see all the description of this object right here, right? And so now if I hit delete and then I come back, you'll see that I still have some pieces of that object still in memory. And I need to make sure these are gone. And actually making them to where they don't show up in this does not actually delete it. See, there's two pieces here. There's the delete mesh dictionary, which we don't really have a visualization of that dictionary. And we have a delete this recycle service where we recycle the mesh ID. And that's what ends up deleting this reference here. You can actually click on this and get a full view of the reference of the object itself, of the JSON object. So now we need to work our way down. It looks like we are working on geometries. So a geometry doesn't have, so we get to a geometry from this mesh, right? So at this point, when I've determined that I should delete it, I need to actually delete any geometries associated with it. So think the idea is at this point the mesh still exists. So let's just console log the mesh right there. And just like I've always wondered why I do this because it is a bit of a waste of time. Just sort of slowly grinding through, figuring out exactly what's missing, what's not missing. And I think that I didn't. So I've been watching. I'm really into like linguistics and stuff like that, and I've been watching a lot of linguistics videos and stuff, and sort of like the main my interest in it is in where how the brain sort of interacts with data, takes like hierarchical data, turns it into words like that are like serial or linear as they'll call it, but in computing you would call it like serial, and then the other brain takes all those serialized words and converts it back into ideas again. And what I've learned in that process is that you sort of coach your brain into success or failure by having a bunch of little wins and little losses. And I think that is why I go through this sort of build up process. So now if I go over here and I hit delete and then I hit back, you'll see that when we deleted the geometry, we know our geometry ID. So we want to tell the geometry to delete the geometry for this mesh, right? So this is a pattern that we've started to uh, get into, but we want to delete geometry ID, right? And it's going to be geometry ID 5. So I'm going to say const console log, and it looks like we only have one geometry per mesh, and I think that makes sense. I don't think we'd ever have more than one geometry in a mesh. So delete geometry, comma. I'm just gonna say dot this, and I'm gonna go up here and copy that. So for this object, which is sitting in this dictionary at mesh ID, right there, that's our geometry. I want to delete. And let's just double check that. Let's just get another easy win. Okay, so we want to see geometry number 5. Right, this is geometry 5. So that's what we want to delete. So we'll come over here, we'll hit delete. Delete geometry ID 5. That's win number 2. Hey, Kiwi. And then, so now we have geometry number 5 being deleted. Alright, so now, to delete geometry number 5, we actually need to tell the geometry the geometry service to delete geometry number 5, but only for this mesh ID, because the geometry service needs to determine whether it actually is possible to delete, or whether we should delete it, because when you add a viz, right, and you add another viz, and then you hit back here, see, there's nothing, no reason. See, this is geometry 5. I mean, yeah, geometry number 5. There's no reason why this mesh down here, mesh number 16, can't have geometry 5 as well, right? Like you don't have that ability to do it, um, but we want that. But right now this is geometry 17, but I might want two things to have the identical geometry but different materials, different cameras, different things, like I just want to be able to mix and match these things as much as I want. And so that doesn't just happen. You have to like kind of architect that and think about it ahead of time. So basically I want to say to the geometry service, so where the services in here, I want to say delete geometry for mesh. Right, so we have a get geometry by ID. We want delete geometry for mesh. And then basically what we're going to get is an ST geometry ID, which is a number. We're going to get an ST mesh ID, which is a number. And this used to be hard for me to do, right? Now I just do it like it's nothing. And then this is going to return a Boolean. And for the moment, I'm just going to return true. Just to make that little red line go away. Okay, and I'm going to put some comments here. Okay, so first, get a list of geometries that are used, meshes using this ID, which is weird because I need to go back to the mesh service to get that mesh, and then we get to get the list of meshes. Okay, is if geometry tree is being used by another mesh, do otherwise delete and recycle. So that's basically what we want to do. So we should give it a 1, so we know that we have sort of a list of things to do. 3. And then we'll have like a delete geometry. Oh, delete. Now, I don't know if I feel like I might actually be messing up now that I think about it, because I think that I also have a list of like actual ThreeJS geometries and meshes that may not be getting deleted. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Actually, I think they might be getting deleted. I don't know. Um, but uh, but they might even be getting deleted on the ThreeJS side, but I'm keeping reference to them on my side. I just don't know. But anyways, that should do it for me. I'm supposed to start work 2 minutes ago. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.